This video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 hacks for creating from your heart and how this can absolutely change your life when it comes to results with the law of attraction. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 hacks you can use to start to create more from your heart rather than from your head. And the reason I want to share this is because this is something that I'm currently going through. I'm currently learning how to more so embody a higher vibration from the level of my heart versus the polarity of the mind. And the way that I like to look at this is think of it almost like the brain has a left side, a right side, or a left brain or right brain. It has that of duality. And the ego and what we experience in 3D reality, you could say from a certain level of any time we have good, bad, light, dark, up, down, black, white, all of these things are different levels of duality. And many times when it comes to the mind, when we're thinking about what we want, we go with the thing that our ego really wants the most. And the thing that our ego wants the most is normally things that we think, the ego thinks will give it happiness, and anything that anybody does is because they believe that they will feel happier by doing it or by having something. So if you want a car, you may want the social status that the car represents, or you may want the luxury of driving around, the easiness of driving around in that car. And if you want that of a better job, then you might want more security. You might want to love what you do more. This all comes down to a root and a vibration. And the thing is what many people do, and I did for a long time, when it comes to desires with the law of attraction, I was going after these things that I thought were my goals, but these things were actually more so, they were more so side effects or more so like a carrot on a stick that I was following, but it wasn't actually what was going to make me happy. And the more I realized this, the more I became aware that there's got to be a better way to go about this. And then I came across someone named Melchizedek. If you guys ever heard of him, let me show you the book. It's right over here. It's called The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. This is a very classic book. I read it when I first went through my spiritual awakening in 2012. And in it, it talks about the flower of life. And if you've ever seen the, it's this right here. It's what's on the shirts that I wear, you know. And it represents connectedness of all things, but it also talks a lot about the toroidal field of the heart. So the way that it works is we have a toroidal field that goes around our heart, and it goes around our whole entire body. And a toroidal, you kind of think of it like a donut that's going in, and that's an energy field. And the thing that some people don't realize is that the electromagnetic energy field of our heart is thousands of times more powerful than that of the head. So in a way, we're going about it backwards because we're going about it like, oh, this is what I want. I'm going to picture this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. There's nothing wrong with it. However, when we create from that place of polarity, because we say, I really, really want that, which also then creates the lack of it or the opposite of it, then what we can start to do is realize that instead of going for that, what we can start to do is embody more of the vibration in the heart. And that's where things really began to change for me. You probably have heard my story before because I share it a lot, but the thing that really changed my life the most was starting on YouTube and starting making daily videos on YouTube because I was passionate about it. And the more that I did that, the more I was in that vibrational state, the more my life began to exponentialize. So the first hack for living from your heart is first off identifying what your goals are and being honest with yourself with what your goals are. Because if your goals are just for the ego's desires, then you may want to reframe it in a way that actually incorporates your heart. What are you actually passionate about? Because when you go from the heart, first off, the heart is thousands of times more powerful electromagnetically, but the other side of it is when you go for the things that your heart really wants, it'll propel you in your spiritual process even more. Because those are things that you really want from a soul level, not just from the ego level. Because the ego sometimes thinks it knows what it wants, it really stays adamant on certain things, but if it would actually learn to let go more and give it up to the higher mind or give it up to that of the heart, then the heart can take it and go about it in a very powerful way. So for me, that was realizing that I wanted to make more videos on YouTube. I treated a little hack for that too is treat your passion or your side hustle like your full-time, and it will eventually become your full-time. And it won't always be, maybe it's not always the easiest, but if you follow your heart, as cliche as it sounds, and you stay consistent with it, knowing that it's who you really are, eventually reality will reflect that back to you. It's just that a lot of times what we do is we look out to the world and we assume this is the way reality is, and what we do is we try to impart the way we think it should be, but the key is it doesn't actually change until we change. So when we actually begin to change, that's when the outer reflection in our reality begins to change as well. So what I recommend to do is to stay with it. After I went daily on YouTube, if I would have quit after a week because I've been like, oh, nothing really happened, then I wouldn't have had that big spike that I had a couple weeks later that took my channel from 3,000 subscribers to 20,000 subscribers over the course of like 2 weeks. So the momentum that you need or that you want, make sure it's connected to your heart and be honest with why you want what you want. Get to your heart first and connect with your higher self as well. One of the biggest transformations you'll make in your life is if you begin to connect with your higher self and your inner guidance system. And a way that you can do that as well is I have a powerful meditation that I made recently. It's one of my newer ones. I'm going to put it in the top of the description box below. If you listen to it for 21 days, I think it'll change your life. Read the comments as well to see what's possible for you with that. But it'll help you transform and connect to your higher self in a way that maybe you haven't done before. And when you do that, you're going to start to be in your heart center even more. So this is having that awareness and knowing that you are more than your ego. When we believe that we are just our ego, we become identified and become attached as well. So we create resistance with it. But the more we realize that our ego is kind of like a construct. Think of it like this. You are an immortal spiritual being living a temporary human experience. You exist in higher states of consciousness that you may not understand. When we're awake here in this reality, we don't really remember and retain the memory of who we are because we go through what is called a veil of forgetfulness. We forget who we are. And part of that's so that we can have a very real experience here. Because if you remembered while you're here right now that you live in these higher dimensional states of consciousness of unconditional love and bliss, you may be like, oh, I don't really want to be here right now, or this isn't the place to be. But you forget that. And part of the purpose of life is to remember that. But what happens is when people are born here, they go through that veil of forgetfulness, and then what they do is they just identify with the ego. They identify with the physical structure of their body. They think that this is who they are, and because of that, they create over and over again this level of identity and this level of attachment that ends up making it where there's more resistance because they think that this is all of who they are. But remember, this isn't all of who you are. And a lot of that comes from the mind versus the heart, because the heart is more about being versus the head, which is about thinking and doing and achieving. And of course, there's nothing wrong with parts of that. Like I still use my willpower, but it's combining it with the power of the heart too. It's not letting the heart be the missing link because the ego's insisting that this is the way things really ought to be. So the second thing, let me see what I wrote down. I wrote down some things that I think were... So the language of the heart, also, it doesn't really think in the form of logic. It thinks more in the form of emotions and pictures. So the second hack for connecting to the heart in a powerful way is thinking more in terms of pictures and imparting those dreams from within you. So start to see things more like that versus this linear time-space way of thinking about it to where things have to happen here, then here, then here, then here. Instead, go within your heart and trust your higher mind, trust your higher self, because the thing that we're going through right now on the planet is we're going through a shift in consciousness. We're going from a 3D level of reality, a third dimension is what some people call it, and that is the duality duality and polarity. That's good, bad, light, dark, and all of these different things. We're moving into more of a fourth dimension state of existence, which is right now we have the potential to create less of the linear time-space experience to where we have to know this. You may find that your memory starts to kind of go a little bit. It's hard for you to remember what you ate yesterday or what you did yesterday. Because right now what's happening is people are going from thinking and doing in the duality into being. And when you're being, you just know what you need to know when you need to know it. You don't really have to like beat yourself up with the past and the story so much. And that's why it's about really just embodying the present moment and understanding that the way that you really tap into your heart is through being here now. Being here now. The moment is perfect as it is. And when you're here now, more of your energy begins to raise. And as your energy begins to raise, you begin to experience more of a reality that is equal to that vibration. So for you, what I recommend as well is to work on becoming present to the moment. You know, when I first learned meditation, it wasn't the easiest thing. I remember I didn't really enjoy it. I thought it was annoying. I learned how to observe my thoughts. This was back in 2012. I learned how to observe my thoughts, and then eventually what happened is I started to detach from the ego, the avatar. The avatar that's always like, do this, or reaction to this, or it's past the story, this happened in the past, what about this? And you start to observe things, and as you observe them, you can kind of watch them come up and watch them go. It loses the negative charge of the 3D reality. Think of the 4D reality as more so embodying our heart center, more so embodying the present moment right now. And because of that transition we're going through, and this transition of raising our frequency, we're moving from that of the solar plexus more so into our heart center. And our heart center doesn't need the linear mind to get involved, to be like, oh, it has to happen. This is my goal, it has to go boom, 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 boom. It doesn't have to be that way. Instead, we can just focus on the emotion, focus on the picture of this over here, embody it in our heart right now, and then begin to see it come to fruition. You know, I have goals written inside in my office on a board, and they're all outcome goals, but they're all goals that are connected to my heart. So they're all goals that are something I'm passionate about, and what I do is I imagine it, and I almost give it up to my higher mind, like maybe this can happen in even a better way than the ego can imagine. Because think of it like this, the best case scenario that your ego can possibly imagine, the best case scenario is the floor for the higher mind, because the higher mind is on the mountaintop, and the ego is in the valley, so it can see where to go. And sometimes it'll look a little bit scary, like why would I, you know, the higher mind might be like, well, go this way. And you may feel a little bit of guidance to go that way. And logically, you're like, why would I go that way? It looks like there's a river over there, and I can't get over that river. But then you see, and you trust it, and then you see that there's a bridge that takes you over the river once you go far enough down, and you see that your higher self was looking out for you. So in the same way, trust and give it up to your higher self to show you even a better way than maybe what your goals are. You know, I had certain goals that are on my board that I gave up to my higher mind, and they've actually come to fruition even better than I could have imagined, because I gave it up. But if my ego was insisting on that, then maybe I would have just continued to block it out over and over and over again. So that's something I think is powerful as well. The last thing I wanted to talk about is just sense perception. Sense perception, because the HeartMath Institute has shown that when you take the energy inside of your hands and you put it inside of your heart, you begin to increase the energy inside of your heart. And as you increase the energy inside of your heart, you increase the electromagnetic energy around your body. And the more you do this, the more you become patterned to live inside of your heart center. The more you become patterned to be in the present moment right now. So if you want, just for a minute, it just takes just a minute or two. You can do it with me right now. Go ahead and put your hands like this, right over your heart like this, and begin to put the sensation in there. What I like to do is I like to imagine that there's a ball of energy inside of my heart, any color. Normally I do green or blue, and what I do is I imagine it inside of my heart center spinning clockwise, faster and faster. And even now I feel the tingling sensation begin to increase. Maybe you feel it too. And imagine that that ball of energy that's spinning is spinning faster and faster, and the faster it spins, the more you feel this love inside of your heart. The faster it spins, the more you feel this energy, this tingling sensation inside of your heart. And you just do this for a couple minutes a day. And by doing this for a couple minutes a day, what you do is you bring the awareness out of the head and into the heart. This is another thing. I actually learned this from Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle was talking about, you know, how to get out of the mind. And he talks about just putting sense perceptions in your hands and your feet. And when you do that, you bring the awareness from being overthinking into the body, and you start to become more present. But we take it to the next level here, because we take it, we put it in our heart, and we allow ourselves to feel what we feel. And by doing this for a couple minutes a day, we begin to activate our heart in a very powerful way. And then we understand and we can feel that this is more about being. Like even right now as you do this, maybe you've just been doing this for a minute with me just now, and you probably feel like you're more being in the moment right now than you are thinking or doing. Even the silence in between the words. You can feel it. You feel more present. You see, the truth is you're very powerful. More powerful than you know. And even more powerful than your ego is your higher self, which is still a part of you. And right now on the planet, it's about merging with that higher self, really connecting to it, and trusting the guidance, trusting the momentum of it. And if you want that meditation that I was speaking to you about earlier that you can listen to for 21 days, I think it'll change your life. It's in the top of the description box. That will help you to make this bridge with your higher self. I made it recently and I think it's very powerful. So That's something that can help as well. So remember that for this process, put the sensation inside of your heart, understanding your heart thinks in pictures, and when you begin to really align with your true goals of what you want to experience, you'll find that then things begin to increase in a very powerful way. So with that being said, I'm also going to be doing more live Q&As on Instagram, so if you want to interact with me on Instagram, you'll see my Instagram handle right here. I do post daily content there, plus the live Q&As almost every single day. So if you have questions for me, we can engage there. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification gear next to the subscribe button so you can see the daily vids that I do. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.